so I face the wall, turn my back against it all. How I wish I'd been unborn, wish I wasn't living. Annie Lennox sang these 4 short and yet immeasurably powerful lines to perfectly encompass the grief of victims of sexual and violent assaults. And what some people fail to understand is that the consequences and repercussions of those who experience a violent assault are multifaceted. Physical wounds will heal eventually, albeit leaving nasty, permanent scars, but psychological wounds remain open, sore and exposed. And more often than not, the right balm to soothe the psychic wound cannot be found, and it continues to ooze out throughout a person's life, manifesting in multifaceted anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorders. The scale of the damage inflicted varies from one victim to the next, depending on the level of depravity. And for Aisling's grieving family and her boyfriend Ryan, today's statements are only words. An irreplaceable light has been extinguished in their lives. And meanwhile, a spotlight has been shone on this house, not just to sympathise, but to act and to deliver. And as I said last week, this unspeakable tragedy simply must be a catalyst for change. And as you know yourself, Ceann Comhairle, I've never been afraid of challenging the status quo as a woman and for women, even if it meant starting uncomfortable conversations or debates. And on occasion, I have been made fun of because of my outspoken views, whether they be the status of women within the Catholic Church or more recently in challenging society's attitudes towards gender equality. And there have even been points throughout my political career where I have been accused by men, both inside and outside of this House, of not understanding matters of equality and simultaneously being mansplained to about gender equality. And like many women, I am forced to bite my tongue for fear of being judged too shrill, and that stops today. The reality is, Ceann Comhairle, that part of the exercise of implementing some of the changes which have been correctly and admirably put forward today is not just about listening to what women need and want. It is also about ensuring that women are present at decision-making tables right across society. And while it is true that some men might be able to understand the issues facing women, there is not one man among us who will physically feel the same shame, the guilt, the anxiety, and even the sheer worthlessness that we are made to feel at times. And I know what it is like to say no, but for it to fall on deaf ears. I know what it is like to be made to feel inferior. I know what it is like to feel like prey. We are the hunted, conditioned for decades to change our route home, to text when safely home, to text when in the taxi, to not walk alone in the dark, and to dress appropriately so as not to attract unwanted attention. And this has to stop. Women did not create this culture, therefore follows the emphasis should not fall on women alone to solve it. It falls to each and every one of us in this House, and not just those of us who have been shouting the loudest, not just those of us who still believe that there are some misogynistic articles to amend within our Constitution, not just those of us who have repeatedly called for our family court system to be upgraded and for our criminal justice system to be improved, as well as having more robust legislation around sentencing. And not just those of us who demanded that this House establish a special Oireachtas Committee on Gender Equality, not just those of us who worked to support Safe Ireland and Airbnb in providing emergency refuge spaces to women escaping instances of domestic violence at the height of the pandemic, and not just those of us who regularly participate around meeting tables or speaking chambers with men, and more men. We know full well what being in a minority is like, and to wear that invisible brooch of inequality every single day. I don't just understand the concept of inequality and discrimination, I live it every single day, along with every other woman in this House. So make no mistake, I am seething. I am not prepared to sit on my hands and listen to words. As a female public representative, I can call for increased action. But as a woman, however, I am demanding it. There is too much at stake. We have reached a tipping point, and it is long past time. Thank you, Ceann Comhairle.